City Power is taking disciplinary action against about 15 of our staff members following a full-scale investigation that was sanctioned by the CEO, Chifular Mashava, which uncovered serious breaches of procurement and payment processes, weakening our internal control systems and obviously leading to financial losses. The report was finalized and submitted to the CEO's office on the 7th of March, but before the organization could act on its findings and recommendations, it found its way out to external parties.
These parties, according to Johannesburg City Power spokesperson Isaac Mangena in his latest statement, include, of course, the press. Because News 24's investigations team exclusively revealed as of Monday the true extent of the municipal electricity utility's persistent fraud problem. From trolley mops to pens, City Power has been doling out exorbitant figures for inflated invoices. And now, according to Mangena, 15 of his colleagues will be disciplined, whilst one faces criminal prosecution for allegedly looting City Power's maintenance budget. Next, we head to our Johannesburg studios to discuss all this with our News 24 investigative journalist, Khaya Koko. Later in the show, we tell you how the police's probe into the Johannesburg Murray murders has gone nowhere, and Tyla takes home yet another major title. While my name's Graeme Raubenheimer, let's chat all this and more right here in The Lead on News 24. Bosses at Johannesburg City Power have been fully aware of their internal fraud problem, yet allowed the rot to continue. This is what our investigative journalist Khaya Koko uncovered in the latest installment in his series of reports called Power Connections. Koko joins me now from our Johannesburg studios. So good to chat again, Khaya.
Thanks, Graeme. Welcome to everyone listening.
Fantastic. So your investigations into City Power, they've been underpinned by this Auditor General findings that in the space of just 12 months in the 2023 to 2024 financial year, City Power essentially hemorrhaged nearly 3 billion rand in losses. Honing in, you've essentially now found that top management was directly complicit. What does your latest report reveal to us?
The latest report shows that within a six-month period from May until October 2023, so within that financial year that you mentioned, about 335 million rand, according to City Power's own internal memoranda and information, was siphoned out of the company through what City Power called deceptive invoices. Unfortunately, they didn't make any of that public until we started investigating, and we found out that there was a lot of price inflation that we detailed in the story. One of which was a double bucket mop and ringer, which retails for about 1.5, and it was bought on average for about 3 grand, just over 3 grand. So just double the price of a standard 50-liter double bucket and ringer. So that's the sort of fraudulent payments that City Power spoke about in their internal documents, but did not publicize.
And Khaya, so some of the other inflated figures that I see you and the team have sort of unearthed was that City Power had forked out for non-technical items some 17,000 rand worth of air freshener, nearly 400,000 rand on stationery. I mean, that's exorbitant amounts here.
Yeah, I guess they write a lot at the power entity. They needed quite a bit of pens. It's about 24,000 rand worth of pens there. Diary books and all of those things. Pencils were also part of that expenditure, and it just shows that within a short space of time, that amount of money leaving the entity while we are in the dark as residents of Johannesburg sort of puts into stark focus the reasons why every weekend, every day, there's a power outage somewhere in the city.
Take me through how the News 24 investigative team sifts through all of these, how you describe deceptive invoices, right, where there's these inflated figures. That must be such an arduous task. And I think one of the important parts of the lead here on News 24 is that we explain and show the public a little bit more about how we put together our expert journalism. So take me through that process. Is it painstaking?
It is because we're talking 3,870 odd line items within 6 months. So you need to go through that. It is painstaking, line for line, and then link it to certain power stations that supposedly got maintenance or fresh cables and all of that. So it is a bit arduous, but fortunately that the company allows the investigations unit to some time to go through everything, so that when we do publish, we actually know what we're publishing.
Absolutely. And then, Khaya, what is that? Is that an app that you put all of those sort of like figures into, or are these all these tangible documents that you need to scan into a particular server? Take me a little bit more about that practical process. I mean, are the days of sifting through each one and making notes with your pen gone, or is it all online now when it comes to these investigations?
It's hybrid, it's a bit of everything, so yes, there's a lot of writing that happens, but you put it on a Excel spreadsheet, and you sort of drill it down to see once you've collated all the info, try and analyze it, understand it yourself first, and then before trying to explain it to a reader. So yeah, it's a bit of both. Technology helps, but a lot of it has to be manual as well. Also for you don't want to be sending things electronically, because we rely a lot on people inside. I mean, I won't get internal memoranda at City Power because I don't work there. So you rely on really good people. There's still some really good people within our civil service, who don't agree with certain things, and you work with them in getting certain documents, putting it all together, and then trying to protect them as well. Protection of sources rather in journalism is sacrosanct. So you have to be a bit old school when you do certain investigations, more importantly to protect your sources, their lives and livelihoods.
Khaya, in your latest reporting, you essentially found that the top management at City Power had been fully aware of the level of fraud that had been taking place, and yet sort of dragged their heels here. And in your findings, I thought also quite interesting is that you've essentially pinpointed Roodepoort and Randburg as sort of two key suburban areas or spending locations for City Power. Why is that?
Well, I mean, it took about a couple of months to put together the power connections story. And so towards the end of it, fortunately or unfortunately for some, there was a lot of, there was major rain up here on the Highveld, which then caused some massive blackouts, so making it a recency thing within this leg of the report, where you look at the last week, the areas you mentioned, Roodepoort, the Randburg area, there was lots of blackouts, days, hours at a time, almost every week. And then from City Power's own public statements, collectively within a week, the week before we published, there were about over 11,000 outage-related calls from those areas, so we decided to be more forensic in narrowing it down to see, okay, when there's so much outages in these areas specifically, how much was spent supposedly on infrastructure maintenance. And then that's where we found that in the Randburg area, it's about just over 28 million. And in Roodepoort area, it's more than 38 million that was spent there, supposedly on maintenance. However, those areas are perpetually without electricity, and these are ratepayers we're speaking about. So those were the more recent figures of outages across the city that we had before we published.
Khaya, what's the latest spin now from City Power's communications department? I would like to just bring in a very quick comment from one of our readers on your article. In the comment section, Laddie writes, quote unquote, Isaac Mangena, you can only spin a story that many times. The truth is glaringly obvious for all to see. Tell your chomies to hide their stealing a bit better. The people are looking now. They must not make it so obvious. How? People are looking. You guys are stealing blind, and then you demand an increase in electricity charges. How has Isaac been responding to the latest findings? And, has it been an easy sort of process, or do you feel like it's a lot of spin here?
Well, I mean, their job is to put a positive stance on these staggering figures. It's like not to sound a bit rude, but it is the proverbial lipstick on a pig sort of way. And they're saying, and they held a media roundtable on Thursday last week, where they said that, yes, they acknowledged all the faults that the Auditor General mentioned, including the lack of controls by the senior executive, chief among them, the CEO. But Mangena says, listen, no, we do acknowledge that we haven't done as well as we should, but things are being positive now. All the infrastructure that we've put in is working prominently. He obviously mentions the theft and vandalism of some of its infrastructure, to say that that's holding them back a bit. But there's a light at the end of a tunnel attitude that comes out of City Power. But that's them saying that it's residents. We go on any City Power social media account, and you'll find residents complaining about having no power. So the spin versus the reality, there's a bit of a chasm between them.
Finally, Khaya, excellent journalism as always, and I mean that. Any indication as to what will be coming out next?
Well, drilling more down into the losses and the reasons for the losses at City Power. So procurement, some of the procurement practices were very, very dodgy. Some are questionable. So we're going to drill down on that. The maintenance budget and the depletion thereof was a leg of this investigation. We'll drill deeper down into that, among other things as well. So sort of putting it to people that you're not crazy for complaining that you never have power, and City Power is not helping in that regard. Residents aren't crazy for feeling the way they do, because the figures and the evidence points to a lot of dodgy things happening at the power entity, and we need to bring that to the fore.
Perfect. Khaya Koko with our News 24 investigations team. I really do appreciate it. Thank you so much for all the stellar journalism. Stay safe, and we look forward to your next pieces coming up on the News 24 front page over the next few weeks.
Thanks, Graeme. You keep well as well. Thank you.
To our trending topic now, and it's exactly 2 years since the Murray murders. And News 24's investigations team can now reveal that thanks to CCTV footage, a third suspect was involved in the killing of father and son duo Cloete and Thomas Murray on the N1 in Johannesburg on the 18th of March 2023. Yet, police to date have not made a single arrest. Officers have also failed to question the man positively identified as the driver of the vehicle allegedly used in these murders, and despite several promises by the SAPS to speed up its probe, the Murray family say this has come to naught. The story doesn't end there. For more on how News 24 investigative journalist Carl Cohen had identified the third suspect using Sunroll gantry camera stills, and for a timeline map of the shooting scene, check out our Murray Murders exclusive on our front page. And finally, while she's one of South Africa's finest exports in years, Tyla continues to win over the world, now taking the title of Artist of the Year at the iHeartRadio Music Awards. Josie's Queen of Popiano beat out fellow nominees Burna Boy and Central C. Her hit Water was put up for Best R&B and Best Dance Track, but didn't win, even though it's the first ever track from a solo African artist to get 1 billion Spotify streams. Tyla's latest accolade follows her Grammy, 2 BETs, and 2 Billboard Music Awards. Who knows what's next for the Josie Star, but be certain to hear about it first on News 24. From City Power's fraud problem to Tyla's latest title, we hope you're all caught up with just some of News 24's top stories. There's so much more to explore by simply subscribing. Each edition of The Lead is released every Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday and Thursday at 7 p.m. And if you've perhaps got a tip-off for our investigations team or would like to submit a shout-out for this very show, drop us an email at tips@24.com. That's tips@24.com. My name's Graeme Raubenheimer. It's been an absolute pleasure to discuss all these stories and more right here on The Lead on News 24.